Alright, welcome back everybody. We are going on to game number 3 of Napoleon versus Dewalt here in the TLS Qualifier Semifinals.
Yes, we are indeed. But before that, I would like to do a quick shout out because I've been noticing throughout this that you have never sounded so good. And I can only imagine that is due to my lovely Razer headset. Razer, of course, one of the main sponsors for this tournament, Twitch TV also. So I would like to extend massive thanks to those guys. And I'm sure they'd be very pleased if they knew all you guys were watching and that you're all going to go and buy Razer stuff and continue watching us on Twitch.
Indeed, indeed. Please support our lovely sponsors who made me and Elegant look awesome with our headsets and of course made us sound nice. They even bought my webcam for me, sort of.
How nice is that?
Yeah,
how nice is
amazing.
that?
That's why I look all glorious. See, if you watch the first qualifier, it's like all blurry and stuff, but now you can see me in glorious HD, kind of.
Yeah, I wish the same could be said for me because I have to stream my webcam to Sale, and so in turn I start to look a bit fuzzy. Yeah. But yeah, just look how good Sale looks.
See, we should switch places because I mean, Elegant, you're like the looker, right? So this is backwards. We kind of messed up the build a little bit.
Oh,
but
stop!
It's okay.
Oh, Sale, you made me go so red. It's a good thing the camera isn't on me right now.
Okay, so StarCraft! Hey!
That's what we're here for. Damn, I knew there was something.
StarCraft. Yeah, third map is Fighting Spirit. Very standard, completely balanced, all good stuff. We saw a pretty crazy Game 3 on this map already in the other semi-final between G5 and Zergboy. So yeah. Hopefully we get something crazy in this game too.
I'm praying. I'm praying.
Alright, well, let's find out. Game number 3. Here we go. And we can resume the game.
Awesome! Let's do it.
Game number 3 between Napoleon and Dewalt. At the top right corner as the Teal Zerg, we will have SJ.Napoleon. At the bottom left as the red Protoss, we will have Reps Dewalt.
We will indeed. So yeah, for anyone with incredible short-term memory loss, this is the game 3 of this set. We have seen 2 pretty cool games come out of these guys. Game 1 maybe a bit closer than the second game, but nonetheless really awesome games so far. So the winner of this one is definitely going to deserve this because they've really been slugging it out pretty hard, and both players are looking good. They look like they've really been preparing for this, and that is of course exactly what we'd love to see. We have the probe heading out for Dewalt, looking like he's going to be making up the standard pylon at the front of base. No kind of one base shenanigans like we saw from G5.
Indeed, indeed. So we could be in for another long one, Elegant. I hope you're prepared. I've got my trusty glass of water next to me.
Yeah.
I'm all ready to go, and oh, look at this. Probe gonna scout the 6 o'clock, so he's basically just checking if there's an Overlord coming from the right side, because the usual scouting pattern on this map is actually to send the Overlord to the closest natural. Ooh, Zergs are doing something interesting as well. Hold on 1 second. So basically, the Probe looked for the Overlord. If he saw it, he'd go to the bottom right. If not, he'll come back, build a forge, and presumably go to the top left. Now, this Overlord, by the way, didn't actually go directly towards either the top left or the bottom right. He came down here, basically looking for a probe. So the scouting probe was looking for an Overlord, and the Overlord was looking for a scouting probe, and neither of them, unfortunately, saw each other. So, yeah, I guess they'll have to, like, post a blog on TL and try and meet up or something. Anyways.
I love when that happens. So yeah, both of them doing cool scouting patterns, neither of them getting anything out of it, but you know, that's okay, guys. Although I guess Dewalt did get something out of it because he didn't see the Overlord, so he knows that his opponent is most likely not in the bottom right hand corner, so I suppose it's worked out quite well for him. And he is going to scout Napoleon last, but he has gone for the gateway first option. I wouldn't have thought this is going to be too effective as pressure, because what I've often found is that when you're in cross positions, the Zealot just doesn't get there quick enough to be effective enough, so I think he's probably just going to have to use this defensively and hopefully throw down a Nexus after only 1, maybe even 2 Zealots at most.
That's true, but on the other hand, his opponent did go for hatchery first, in which case the Zealot will have a little bit more time before any Zerglings are out, so you can potentially try and do something. But yes, as you said, it's not nearly as good as if they were close positions. Now, this kind of strategy, by the way, we saw Draw employ, I believe. He likes to do this a lot, going gateway first. Basically, you can put the forge here, down here, and so it's touching the gateway and to the left a little bit, and it'll be a completely tight wall except between the pylon and the gateway. So everywhere here is all nice and tight. Even here where it doesn't look zergling tight, and on the left, which definitely doesn't look zergling tight, it'll all be actually tight. So you can just block it with one zealot and just expand behind it. And he has in fact gone straight for the Nexus, as you said, Elegant, realizing since they're cross positions, he's not going to get too much damage done, just going to go straight away for that Nexus. And by the way, those Zerglings, he kind of waited a little bit before making them. I guess he was distracted by the probe, but delayed that slightly.
I don't think that'll be too much of a problem. I mean, this Zealot is going to be easily flushed out as soon as those 6 pop. And this is, yeah, you can see how even though he went hatchery first, there's still no real window for the process to exploit. So he's just going to have to try and do some damage with that Zealot, try and make it cost effective, get some good scouting information. But I would almost imagine it would be a good idea to pull the second Zealot back, to be honest.
This is actually quite funny because he's distracted all of the Zerglings with Zealot in the main, so the second Zealot is going to have a free reign over the natural for now. He might even get a drone kill if he's lucky, if the Zerg isn't paying attention. He is going to get a drone kill there straight away, and the Zergling's still not going back. However, more Zerglings are in production here for the Zerg, so this is actually doing a lot more damage than I would have thought it would do otherwise, but the cannon isn't quite finished yet, so or rather, it's only just started, so if Zerglings went straight to his base right now, it could be a little bit dangerous, although I think it would still be okay. It looks like now the Zealot in the main base is going to work on these Zerglings and doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, I mean, this is really well done, Zealot harass in the early game. We could see, another drone going down in the main right there. So this, yeah, really nicely done from Dewalt. So he's really made this happen. Definitely not going to be putting on any more pressure for now, but you know, he's got that Nexus up nice and safe. The timing is good. He's got cannons on the way now as well, so he's going to be completely safe. And his scouting probe is still alive, so this couldn't actually have worked out much better for him at this point. He does see the lair timing as well. Nothing too crazy and out of the ordinary. We do already have a third hatchery over at the natural expansion on the left-hand side coming in, and it's just finished now.
It's quite funny because, you know, not only has he done some drone damage, you know, killed a few Zerglings here and there, but he also forced a lot of extra Zerglings from the Zerg, apart from the initial 6. He must have made, you know, 10 or 12 Zerglings. So that's also larvae that could have been drones, but were instead made into lings, and those lings are going to be completely useless because, as I said, this wall's completely ling tight. Now, you might be looking to the left of this forge and being like, Sail, the Zerglings can definitely run through that gap.
It's ridiculous.
All right? Don't even try and tell me Zerglings can't fit through there. Well, I'm sorry, man, but diagonal lines and brutal, what can I say?
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible. It's unfathomable how that is a complete wall in. But that just shows the value of game knowledge versus just kind of presuming what would happen if you made a wall. Because, yeah, I mean, otherwise you would think that this is just going to be so vulnerable to a speedling run by, but no, you would be so wrong. And Dewalt knows this. He is a smart cookie. He has his stuff together, so he knows the deal. He's alright, he knows what's happening. That scouting probe is still alive, and that is being an absolute menace. Zergs, if there's one thing they hate being scouted, because they like, even if they're not cheesing, they like their opponent to think they could be cheesing at any one moment, which is, of course, one of the main advantages of being Zerg. That's interesting. We all saw it.
I love it. I love it. Making the fake second gas and canceling it. Oh man. Usually, okay, so here's what's up. So the probe saw the second gas, so Paras is like, oh, well, he got a fast second gas. He's probably going mutas since I saw the Spire and I didn't see a Hydra Den. So I'll just, you know, make some Corsairs, make cannons on my main, get +1 air weapons, which he's doing. And then, I mean, the Zerg can do so many things. He can just switch into a Hydra bust. He can, you know, just, you know, not go mutas and just play normally. I mean, you don't have to necessarily take advantage of that and kill your opponent. You can just kind of trick him into doing something that's not entirely optimal, mess up his game plan just a little bit, and then continue your game plan as it was. And, you know, he's just a little bit behind, and it basically didn't cost you anything. So, really sneaky little mind game right there. Now, on the other hand, I don't know if +1 Corsairs was in part of Dewalt's game plan anyway. Maybe that's what he wanted to do all along, and seeing that second gas, he was like, oh, that's awesome, he's making mutas, so now my build is awesome.
Well, he has made up an extra cannon in his main mineral line, so I can imagine he does think mutas are on the way. He hasn't made one in his natural mineral line, which is slightly unusual. Presumably, he's just thinking that those 2 cannons would be enough just to cover his Corsairs. But yeah, I love how that gas happened just as I was making the point about how Zergs like people to think they might be cheesing even if they're not. So it's like, reaffirmed, my casting is good after all. Brilliant. Okay, fantastic.
Oh, well done, Elegant, well done.
Yeah, I know.
You know
I need
what I
that.
think, though? I think Dewalt might not have actually seen it. Because if you think mutas are coming, you make 2 cannons in your main and potentially 1 more in your natural. The fact that this 1 cannon in the main is very standard just to protect the Stargate from Scourge, so Scourge can't camp it and kill Corsairs. So I'm pretty sure either he didn't fall for it or he didn't see it at all. Because the thing is, that probe was already moving out by the time the thing like was building. So maybe like Dewalt wasn't even paying attention and it didn't see it at all.
I love when you have to play these double mind games. You have to think, okay, so SJ.Napoleon played a mind game. But then Dewalt didn't see the mind game, so then Napoleon is having the mind game played on himself by thinking that Dewalt has seen the mind game, and it just gets ridiculous. It just goes way too far. But I love it. I love it.
Dude, it's the best. It's the best. You can never go too far with mind games, Elegant. That's why they're mind games.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we do see the fast 4th base here from the Zerg. Pretty standard to see nowadays, and he's getting overload speed and stuff. I mean, with good SimCity, basically you can defend against most early aggression, which is in fact what's coming here. A pretty good, pretty decent sized +1 speed lot force is going to attack into this, but behind this wall, I don't think it's going to be too much. That Spore Colony, by the way, is kind of curious. And I'll talk about that in a second here once the attack is over. But here we go, the drones hoping to block. There's only a single sunken. I think he's wishing that Spore Colony was a sunken colony right now, but I think it's probably enough to block anyway. He might lose some drones here, but I'm pretty sure these Zelts will not be able to actually kill the space. Yeah, he's just going to snipe a few drones and run away with his Zelts. He realizes he can't quite break this, especially with Hydras coming from the back. His Hydras have to be careful, actually, although actually the Zelts are quite heavily damaged. But yeah, ooh, he's actually engaging. That's a mistake.
Yeah, definitely a mistake.
Yeah, I think that Spore was just an instinctive reaction to his Scourge seeing 4 Corsairs out on the map and +1 on the way. So he's just like, oh wow, he's going mass Corsairs, let me make a Spore Colony. And wow, that is a lot of damage.
I think that's necessary, but that is very unfortunate at this stage of the game to be having to make so many photon cannons. I don't know if they're even going to be in time, though. There are quite a lot of forces coming down from Napoleon's various bases. That's a lot of cannons, though. If they can get in, he's going to be absolutely safe for the foreseeable future, and he might just not get time for that to happen. The cannons are going to warp in any second now. This is going to be really, really close. It looks like he might just be able to hold. He's able to drill his probes out somehow. Where was he even drilling those two? But it doesn't matter because it looks like it did work. But how did he even do that?
I have no idea. Actually, that's a good point. I don't know what he has vision of, because for those of you StarCraft 2 players who don't get it, you can't actually drill to minerals unless you have vision of them. And like if they're in the fog of war, drilling doesn't actually work. You need to have a unit that's giving you vision of minerals to drill. So I don't actually know. Maybe like I think maybe when his Corsairs and shuttle flew over the 6 o'clock, he saw it, or he saw the minerals. Indeed, DTs are in the main, and there's nothing here to defend it. There is an overload here, but there's no units, and there's no warning that the DTs are attacking. He's probably focused on his Hydras right now. He's going to lose every single drone in the main base. Napoleon could be in trouble here if he cannot break this natural. He's going to lose his entire main to the 2 Dark Templars. It looks like 13 kills between the 2 Templars right now. All the drones are dead. The Hydras are pulling back. He suddenly realizes danger, but it's way too late here. He's moving the Hydras back. The Spire might even go down. It's going to be very close. I think he can save the Spire, though.
My God, that hurts. That is absolutely horrible for Napoleon. He was probably feeling pretty good about the way things were going, and then all of a sudden, in one fell swoop, the game is turned on his head. One more DT at the 12 o'clock, and we would be looking good right now. It would be good day for Mr. Protoss and Mr. Dewalt, but nonetheless, that was a great little piece of harassment. For the cost of only 2 DTs, you can get yourself like 13 drones, which is just absolutely brilliant. And so, yeah, it's right back into being a contest. I don't think that did much more than pull Dewalt back to even, though, because, I mean, oh my God, the Scourge killed all his Corsairs in one. He has absolutely no Corsairs left right now. But yeah, I don't think that did any more than pull.
Only one of the Scourge was pulled. Man, that is dangerous.
That
was a pretty big mistake by the Corsairs, but I was actually wondering why he got this fast Robo without getting going for Reavers, because he just got all this gateway tech as normal, right? And I was like, oh, he's going for the DT drop. That's actually quite an interesting thing there. But I mean, you know, the early Robo investment is also a pretty big investment as well. And the 13 drones were nice, but I mean, the Zerg's on 4 bases right now, and the Protoss is still on 2. So and his ground army is still relatively weak. So I'm still not convinced that, you know, Dewalt's in a good position right now. He's going for another Zealot drop, but there's lots of Overlord spotting and everything. So that shuttle is going to be spotted way before it gets into the base. Yeah,
it is, and that's unfortunate. What sentence was I even saying before? Yeah, action kept happening. I was going to say that this has only got Dewalt even into the game because of the cost of all his cannons, but I don't think he's even done that yet because he's just having such a hard time of following it up. And there's still been ample time for Napoleon to just keep droning behind what is a very, very sturdy position for him right now. However, this does give a little bit of a window for Dewalt to actually get some movement out and get out to his 3rd base at least, which I think he should probably seize the opportunity for. Looks like he is going to do that because if you get contained, then sometimes you can go the entire game without even managing to get to a 3rd at all. And it looks like the harass in the main is being pretty much completely shut down.
Yeah, but even if he gets his third base, I mean, Napoleon's already taken the 12 o'clock. Napoleon, man, with some, very greedy expansions. I like his style. It's a very Zergy style, actually. Just mass expand, just spam units all over the place. Not do any fancy meter harass or teching, just pure Hydras and Lings and lots of bases. Good times, man. Good times.
Yeah, very, very good times. And now we do, finally have the third base happening in from Mr. Dewalt. So he might even be able to hold this if he gets a decent engagement off. Although the units from Napoleon are looking pretty split off, so it doesn't look like Napoleon's actually going to mount any proper pressure, and he's just going to be perfectly happy to take up a 5th base for himself instead.
Yeah, and a lot of Hydras massing up now. They are 1-0 upgraded against the 1-0 Protoss. Protoss might be splitting up a little bit. He's got to be very, very careful not to let this happen, because a lot of times the Zergs will try and just run in with, like, 6 or 7 Hydralisks and snipe High Templars very cheaply. So you got to keep them protected by your other units, the Dragoons especially, to stop that from happening. Meanwhile, looks like we might have a bit of an engagement here. A lot of Lurkers are morphing. There's already an Observer out, and they're not morphed yet. If you can get an engagement before they're done, no looks like they are done. They are a little bit clumped here. You can get some good storms off, but here we go. Hydras moving in, trying to snipe High Templars. They do get one High Templar, not before the storms go off, though, and all the Hydras do go down, but a few Hydras is a cheap price to pay for one High Templar, actually, because in a major engagement, that storm could do so much more damage when it's too hard to, actually split your Hydras properly. Looks like he's moving in right now. He sees the Lurkers. He's going to storm the Lurkers, onboarding the rest of the Lurkers. Oh, nice storm there.
Yeah, there's some severely weakened Hydralists right now. He's going to have to be super careful with those, but they're going to go down like flies. Oh, a nice storm managed to clean up most of the Hydralists. Second one, maybe a little bit gratuitous, but nonetheless not too much of a big deal. The supply is really, really high right now for Dewalt. Napoleon's supply is pretty high as well, so he's got plenty of units to defend with, and he might actually be able to get a decent flank off right here. This is so easy as process to get sucked into this position right now, but he's getting spread quite thinly. He needs to make sure he's ready for this engagement to come in. He's going to get severely sandwiched between Zerg units if he's not incredibly careful. He needs to wheel off and just get a decent engagement right out on the map right there, so he can get a good concave against his Hydras and then swing back into the natural. But it looks like he's just going to go for it anyway and try and get across those bridges before the Hydras make it, and it looks like he will just manage to do so. No storm left though, however, in his army, apart from, okay, he does have one storm.
Oh! Good storm. It could have been a little bit better, though slightly higher. It looks like his Zealots aren't actually helping out with the main force, but it looks like the Dragoons have a good arc on the other side of the ramp. A lot of the Hydras get stuck in the back, and oh man, a massacre of the Hydras. The Zealots are moving in. It looks like Napoleon's in a lot of trouble. Napoleon was up 1-0 in this series, but is he about to get taken down? Are we going to see another Protoss comeback? Is it the time of the Protoss? Is this the qualifier? Qualifier number 5, where Protoss will finally be triumphant. Elegant, is it actually a TLS thing where Protoss beats Zerg now?
I think it's actually becoming a thing, and not only that they go 1-0 down and then come back to take it all. And this has been beautifully timed by Dewalt. I think we're gonna have to make this a tradition, Sale, from here on in. We're calling it a tradition. There's no two ways about it. Dewalt is definitely at least going to be able to put himself in a seriously great position to win this game. His supply has rocketed ahead. He is now on 151 supply versus the Zerg 71, and he's going to send a strike force up to 12 o'clock as well, which is probably going to be turned away, but nonetheless, it will be able to distract the Zerg forces for a little longer. The top left-hand base is done. Both the evolution chambers are going to go down, hopefully before finishing their upgrades as well. It's going to be close, though, and Dewalt's going to have a hard time holding that against these Lurkers, though. Could Napoleon have a chance of regaining this position?
The upgrade! I don't think they finished. I do not think they finished. They did not finish. It's a 0-0 Zergling. He got him like 2 seconds before they finished. It looks like the army might get taken down at the end, but it doesn't matter. The damage has been done. And Zealots attacking the 12 o'clock. The 12 o'clock base is going down. More Zealots flooding out of the Protoss base. It looks like these units aren't even done yet. He's doing a running battle here to try and regroup with the rest of his forces. Zergling's coming in, but the hatchery is gone. The Zerg is down to 2 bases, guys. It's a 3-base Protoss against a 2-base Zerg right now. And it's looking like Dewalt has made an epic comeback once again. I can't believe it here. Legend of qualifier number 5, guys. It is the day of the Protoss.
Yes, Dewalt. Yes, indeed it is. And look at how much trouble he would be in if this attack hadn't worked. His natural expansion is almost out of minerals. His main is entirely out of minerals. He would be mining effectively off 1 base very, very soon. So this had to work, and it had to be really good. And you know what? It was. This was a great, great attack from Dewalt. I was so skeptical about his positioning as he was heading on over there. I thought, no, he just needs to pull back, defend himself against those Hydras, and then go. But he knew that he could get across those bridges in time, and that was what made the difference.
Indeed, and if you look at the supplies right now, 144 against 59. I mean, it's
Oh.
hugely in favor of the Protoss. Looks like Zerg trying to reestablish a base here at the 3 o'clock, but a big Protoss army rolling across the map. Gotta be a little bit careful. You know, he's primarily Zealots this time, not that many Dragoons.
DT.
Dragoons much more beefy. And oh, indeed, a DT moving in
yeah.
here. Probably going to kill all these Zerglings and perhaps deny the hatch. Looks like it's going to go straight after the hatch. Meanwhile, the main army going to the 12 o'clock to deny that as well. Looks like some Zerglings coming down to deal with it. They don't even have speed, by the way, which is quite funny. But Overlord coming down as well. I think he'll be in time to save this hatchery, although it's going to be a little bit close. Probably fine.
DT super high damage, doing 46 damage a swipe. Meanwhile, we have some scourging action. Manages to get one observer for his money, so not too bad right there. But the Overlord does go down. However, Dewalt's just going to be able to pile on the pressure using pretty much pure storms in order to break this. And yeah, it's going to be a tall order for Napoleon to hang on because Dewalt still has a good amount of macro power behind him. He's got plenty of gateways in there, so not only can he macro quite effectively because he's still, well, he's actually only manning off one base, but he can reinforce quickly after an engagement. And as long as he can prevent more bases from going up, then he can take another one from himself, and then he will truly be in the winning position.
Yeah, it's quite funny because the Zerg is just using that like scourging observer trick to just buy time.
Yeah.
And look at this, look at this. Does get it because he knows, Napoleon knows that's the only way he can live right now. So he's just like, okay, I'm just gonna, you know, sacrifice Overlord, sacrifice Scourge, but as long as I don't die right now, maybe I can make a comeback. But that's gonna be a tall order. I mean, if he comes back from this game, he will have deserved it. I mean, it's 178 supply against 67. He's over 100 supply behind right now.
Yeah, he's way behind. Make no illusions about it. On the minimap, it doesn't necessarily tell a very realistic story of just how behind Napoleon really actually is. And Dewalt's going to be able to take up the top left-hand natural expansion as well. He needs that extra base in order to really secure his position in this game. It is not over yet, but he needs more observers in his army as well. Okay, he does have another observer coming up from the back, and with speed, that is what we like to see, because otherwise observers are just painfully slow and rubbish. And he's just about nearing the time where he can try and break up this ramp without fear of losing the game if he takes too heavy losses.
Yeah, looks like in a lead with a few High Templars and Storms, just try and get soften up the defenses a little bit here. Meanwhile, Napoleon doing a good job counterattacking with Zergling groups, denying both expansion attempts of the Protoss at the 6 o'clock and the top left natural. So as you said, you know, the Protoss is actually just on one base right now. It's not like he's got you know, an insane economy behind this. He has the insane army lead, the insane supply lead. What is this High Templar doing? Rambo High Templar does get a Storm off. Just 4 Zerglings though, not really worth it. Meanwhile, it looks like finally Dewalt can actually expand properly here with a few units to help defend that 6 o'clock base, so I'm pretty sure that will be all the time. But look at this, Napoleon just being as cost efficient as possible, just, you know, killing, you know, slamming High Templars with Zerglings, and basically just mainly making Zerglings with a few lurkers to keep himself alive. Just being super, well, Zergy, I guess, and just harassing everywhere. But uh-oh, here we go. Here's the break-in. Not enough lurkers remaining, and this could be it here for the 3 o'clock base. Looks like these Zerglings that were going to go counterattack have been diverted for the defense of this base, but there's no way that pure Zerglings is going to be nearly enough. And oh man, a Storm on the lurker catches some drones as well. Link's coming in from the back with his too many units here for Dewalt. They're also 3-0 upgraded against the 2-0 Zerg. Very well upgraded. The base goes down. The lurkers that came to defend it are also going to go down. Napoleon, he does not want to throw in the towel. He knows that if he won this game, he could have qualified for the TLS. But now, this is looking like a bit of a pipe dream here. He's still going to get the points, the qualifying points. I don't know how many points he actually had going into this. It might still be enough just getting to the semifinals. But obviously, you want that security of going to the finals. You want the glory of going to the finals.
Yep, you certainly do. I mean, there is nothing better than that security when you know you're going to be in the main tournament no matter what happens. So he's still going to be living on the edge no matter what his points. I know he wasn't in the top 12 in terms of points at the beginning of the day, so he's definitely going to have plenty to do. And Napoleon comes to the realization that he is done. GG!
GG!
And that is the game we were wanting out of these two guys. Absolute slugfest, backwards and forwards all game long. And in the end, Dewalt does triumph and goes on to the final of the TLS Qualifier number 5.
Dude! First PvP finals, 2 Protoss, 2 non-Zergs.
I'm so happy. Wow,
wait,
so we're
is
actually
this the first time we haven't had a Zerg in the finals? I think it is.
Yes, yeah, it is, because we certainly haven't had a TVT final, and we didn't have our first PvP until earlier in this cast. So, yeah, wow, what a day! Yeah, this is a day of the Protoss. We're gonna call it that. That's what's gonna happen.
Wow, PvP finals. Today is a good day, Elegant. I like
Yeah,
today.
no.
What's today?
Yeah.
January 26th. That's a good day. You know what? Speaking of which, it was like everybody's birthday this past week. And by everybody, I mean like most important people in the TLS. Sorry, Tupac. Yeah, it was. All right. So Elegant's birthday was last week. Hawaiian Pig's birthday was last week. He's like our graphics guy / organizer guy, right? Yeah. Me and Keontae very weirdly have the same birthday. It's actually kind of creepy because we're like both Protoss 12 nexing people, and our birthdays were both 2 days ago. So that was kind of creepy. But yeah, so you know, it's like everybody's birthday, and I cannot actually think of a better birthday present than 2 Protosses advancing.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, that's pretty good for me as well. I mean, I'm actually really happy that the kind of playing field is balancing out a little bit better, and we're going to see more PvP, which I frankly love. Yes. And you guys, if you're even considering tuning out because it's a mirror matchup, then don't even go there. Don't even bother. Right. This is going to be seriously great.
That's right. Broodor PvP can be pretty awesome here. I mean, Reavers galore, Matt. Dude, not only can one player make Reavers, both players can make Reavers.
Oh, that's
right.
Great.
That's
yeah.
Right. So, we will bring you the finals after a short commercial break. Don't go anywhere, guys.
Exciting times.